Hello and welcome back to the space between ideas. We are playing personality bingo. This is video number 2. If you want to learn about what is the best kind of big thinker for your executive in your company, then go to the last video. Now, what can we learn from our last video? The last video is that if you are high in neuroticism and you are a CEO, it's time for you to see a psychologist because you have to find a way to tone down that neuroticism. If you are a gentle giant and you are a CEO, then you have to figure out a way to increase your extraversion because likely your ideas are a little bit too narrow and too far into the future, and you need to get more feedback from other people. If you are a difficult boss, big thinker, then it's probably time that you learn how to be a little bit more nice to people because you're scaring people away. Dang it. So I'm kind of like a difficult boss and I'm high in neuroticism. And wow, so I have to figure out, I guess go see a psychiatrist and get lower in neuroticism. I got to figure out how to be more empathetic and nicer to people. And also, no, I'm not a difficult boss. I'm like, okay, enough about me. All right, let's get back into this. So now, the next one is called the innovator. Now, the innovator is not the same as the big thinker. The innovator is somebody who actually can get the job done themselves. A big thinker is think, think, think. That's all I do. Imagine things and think. And then the innovator actually gets the ideas and tests them to the point where they actually have something that is workable, usable, and can be deployed. So what about them? If they are high in neuroticism, now, the thing is that we don't care so much about their high. We don't care so much about their neuroticism because they are an innovator. If they're low in neuroticism or they're high in neuroticism, it's okay because we know that they're high in conscientiousness, meaning that like if they are producing art, then maybe the art looks absolutely crazy, but it works and it's on paper. So you're actually going to get the design. You're actually going to get the output. See, the thing is, sometimes the big thinker is just thinking. And since they're not high in conscientiousness, they don't actually get the thing on paper. And so like, yeah, great. You had these wonderful thoughts, but not only are they unactionable, but you haven't actually tested them and they aren't on paper. So that's why you want somebody who is lower in neuroticism if they're a big thinker as your executive. But then, okay, but if it's an innovator, then fine. You know, you can be crazy and you can jump around and be emotional and you can do all those things because eventually it finds its way onto a piece of paper which other people can look at and verify. So now, does it matter if that person is a gentle giant? Yeah. So again, I think that the same rule as the past still applies. You still want your executive to be somewhat extroverted because when we're talking about the vision, the direction of the company, and also somebody who's actually leading people and constantly communicating with people and trying to lead in a market situation, then they need to be able to get energy from people. Otherwise, they're stuck. Like right now, I'm stuck. I'm living in like next to a mountain in a country next to Russia, like so far away from everyone. And all I have is this. So like, am I leading a company? That's the thing is, so, okay, what am I going to do to create a vision? I need to tone down my big thinking. Okay, remember in the beginning of the video, I was saying I need to reduce my neuroticism, but I don't necessarily have to reduce my neuroticism as long as I can increase my conscientiousness, meaning I need to get that stuff on paper. But then at the same time, if I'm a difficult boss, that's the same thing. So in both cases, so I need to increase my conscientiousness and increase my introversion. All right, so this is pointing to success as an executive means that extroversion and conscientiousness are a necessity. And what are the ones that you don't have to be necessarily? All right, let's jump into the third column. So we have the big thinker, we have the innovator, and we have the auditor. So what about an auditor as the executive? So the auditor is, the thing is that it depends on what the product is that you are trying to pursue. If you are trying to create some new innovation, like how easily can your thing be copied? If you're an auditor, it means that you are only jumping on an idea after it has become general practice. And there's a lot of conservative companies in the world where they're not jumping on the newest, greatest, most interesting, cutting edge, bleeding edge technology, but they wait until the whole market, it's basically like turned from blue ocean to red ocean. And then they're like the cleaners. They're like the ants. They go in and they're like, we're not going to do anything that is risky. We're not going to do anything which is wasteful. We're not going to do anything like I saw a video recently. They were talking about bees, and they were saying that there are some bees who don't do anything innovative. They follow that bee dance, and then they go directly to the pollen and come back. But then there's these crazy bees that they like go in a completely different opposite way. It's this guy from England, and he's like the head of Ogilvy, and I haven't learned his name yet, but I'm starting to see some of his work, and it's very interesting listening to him. So the idea of an auditor being an executive and creating a vision is that they are going to look for a red ocean product or service, and then they are going to cut all of the waste out. They are going to mine for that specific thing. And at some point when they've mined for that specific point, like I guess one example might be like when these big hedge funds go into the family single home real estate market, and they go in and they buy like all of the properties. So now it's completely controlled by some hedge funds. And so it completely removes all of the waste, because the thing is, like, mostly in real estate, you have a lot of different buyers and sellers and a lot of different levels of understanding and a lot of different types of processes and skills and abilities. There's a huge amount of waste, and it's heaven for small businesses because everybody gets to play, and there's a lot of different ways to play, and you're learning all along, and everyone gets to be part of this system and grow. And then some big hedge fund comes in and they have like Agent, what's his name from Matrix. He just comes in, Agent what? Jones or Agent John or Agent, I don't know. And he comes in and he basically just follows a very specific execution process and gets all the deals done. And they have very specific tax systems and software systems and different ways to rent out these properties and contracts and everything. And they control everything. So yeah, I can see how an auditor going into a somewhat well-established market, but that has a huge amount of variability and learning, and a lot of medium-sized companies could be a great place for one of these one of these management systems to come in and to cut out all the waste and remove all of the small players, all of the weak hands, and anybody who wants to learn something. And at that point, if they're high in neuroticism, are you going to have an auditor who is high in neuroticism? I don't know, because the thing is, they're super high in conscientiousness and they're super low in openness. And so it doesn't really matter if they are high in neuroticism, because they're still going to get the job done, and they're just going to be like buzzing around while they do it. Like, I'm going to, maybe they have Tourette's or something, but they still get the job done. So there you go. So that is executive. And that is personality bingo. We've pointed out that likely if you have a highly innovative company, that you want to be an innovator, low in neuroticism, party person, who your best friend is also, could be a high in neuroticism, big thinker, either gentle giant or party person. And then you just absorb all of their great ideas and then just cut them off at some point, like the Steve Wozniak. Or you want to be like a BlackRock auditor, and you want to just kill all of the people who can't deal with the amount of waste and inconsistencies that are available in the market. This game isn't so fun as I thought it was going to be.